it's Jessie from Squeegee Ink, and welcome back to Printer's Corner. This is where I answer all your questions in a little bit more detail. These are questions that I found around the internet on social media from when people are using hashtag Printer's Corner. So that's a good way to ask me a question. You can also DM us, write comments on videos, all that type of thing. Don't forget to stick around to the end of the episode to see the results from this week's community poll. This week's questions are all about how we're curing water-based ink, so like what equipment or what techniques we're using. We also have a question about just missing screen printing and maybe getting back into it. And we've got another question which is more about how to work with clients and manage their expectations on a print run. The first question is from Shan and Luna, and we were screen printing water-based inks wet on wet in a TikTok video. And their question was, do you use heat after or air dry? Do you have a dryer? What would you recommend for a very small work from home option? So when it comes to curing or drying water-based ink, when you're in a kind of small setup, it's perfectly fine to do what we did in this video. So in the video, you can see us printing, and then we were kind of just letting the shirts that we just printed kind of like air dry by stacking them on tables around the studio, let them dry out, and then you can put them through the dryer. The reason we weren't just putting them through the dryer straight away it's quite simple. It's just our dryer wasn't up to temperature, and we just needed to start printing these shirts. And there's no harm in letting them air dry a bit and then letting them cure thoroughly in the dryer. One of the questions there is, would you just let the shirts air dry? You can, but you need to add a cold cure catalyst to the ink. That kind of enables that process of allowing the pigment to bond to the garment so it's washproof, wash safe. We have a video all about that, and all the different methods you can use to cure water-based ink. So just using a heat press, using cold cure, all those different methods. So I'll leave a link in the description below, and that's a really, really thorough video. Another question was, do you have a dryer? Yes, we definitely do, and it is what we use typically. We have the Big Buddy. That one's been great. We upgraded from the Little Buddy, and yeah, we definitely need the Big Buddy now for the output. Another question on there was, what would you recommend for a very small work from home option? So if you really couldn't invest in kit, you'd probably go for cold cure catalyst. However, once you've mixed that into the ink, then that ink that you've used on that job isn't going to be usable for the next job. So it's actually a weirdly expensive option, but it gets you through without having to invest in equipment. I would definitely recommend getting yourself a good heat press. So not one of the ones off eBay and Amazon, because they just don't heat evenly and you're going to get printing issues. You're going to get curing issues where it'll wash off. So I would get it probably from Target Transfers. They've got a really good range of presses, but they're all high enough quality to get the job done when you're curing inks. You can use discount code Squeegee for anything off I said Target Transfers, but Target Transfers are now Styles UK. You'll still get to the Styles UK website if you type in Target Transfers as they're transitioning. So they've got a really good range. I've also done YouTube videos about all their different presses as well, which I'll also link in the description, but that'll give you loads of information. And that's what I would start off with in a small home setup. Our second question today is from user 6157622080863. And this is a TikTok user. I don't think they picked that username themselves. They've said, I miss screen printing so much I could cry. I actually do sometimes, crying face emoji. I just sit and binge watch printing videos all day. Y'all are awesome. Hashtag women who print. Thank you very much. Yeah, there aren't many women screen printing on these videos at the moment, so there can always be more. Let us know any of the women you like to watch and what channels you like to watch as well. I do want to say though that if you're missing screen printing so much that you're sitting there crying, it's actually not that hard to get back into it. So I want to encourage you to have a go again at screen printing, because you can do it on such a small scale. You could, for example, you could get a pre-exposed screen. We offer those also in America, if you're in America, because you're saying y'all. The Anthem screen print give pre-exposed screens too. So you don't need all the equipment really, you just need a squeegee, some ink and a screen. Use the same squeegee for all your different prints. You could get some black ink and different coloured shirts, for example. I also have this video where I just use hinge clamps and pre-exposed screens, and I produced a 9-colour artwork on some paper. That's a new course on YouTube, which is quite popular at the moment. In that, I'm using the most basic things possible. I don't have any expensive equipment there. So that's trying to encourage you to get into printing and then just slowly invest in the equipment when it makes sense for you and your setup. Our final question today is from Jez1965, and they asked a few questions, and one of the questions was, second question, praying hands. If you notice imperfections in print and you correct the issue, do you then discount the job, toss the bad prints, or buy more shirts and fulfill the order? Thanks again. So this question is about working for clients and managing their expectations. What I would say is you have to protect yourself a bit when you're working for clients so that they're not coming back and forth with silly things. The way that you can do that, say if the order is for 100 t-shirts, in your terms and conditions, which you have to do, even if they're your friend, just give them some terms and conditions, do a mock-up, put as many specs on there as physically possible. And in there, you can have a thing about tolerance. So the expectation is that if you're asking for 100 shirts, the amount of shirts you're going to get is between 5% more or less than that 100 shirts. This is so that you can do one misprint, or you could accidentally drop a shirt on the way to the dryer and you haven't ruined the whole job and all the profit in the job by having to get another shirt, do the setup again, do the print, and that all takes time and money off you. So if you've got that tolerance written in your T's and C's, there's a good way to make a little mistake and it not throw off the whole job. One of the other questions in there was, would you toss the bad prints? Yes, don't send out bad prints because that will ruin your reputation. And you might have some difficult customer who's like, well, and they might show that on the internet and then tell everyone that you did that. That's awful. So you don't want that anywhere around. So just keep that to yourself, hold that back and give them 98 shirts instead of 100. I wouldn't say that's a typical thing for us. We tend to have longer lead times where it wouldn't be a big issue for us to get that extra shirt in when we're ordering the next round of shirts. But I understand we are a relatively busy shop, so we're ordering shirts quite often. We're also using Plasol ink. So if it's just a single colour job, it really isn't that much work for us to keep the screen on the press and print that shirt, fulfill the order, and the customer might not even know that you messed up that shirt because you've got suitable lead times. So you just need to look at what bigger shops are doing, maybe copy their T's and C's and make it work for you. Even if you're on a small scale, start taking yourself seriously. Just to recap, the main question from this week's episode is how to get back into screen printing on a small scale. I would say get a pre-exposed screen. That way you don't have to do any of the exposure. Maybe get some water-based ink, get some cold cure additive perhaps, and that way you're not having to invest in lots of different equipment and you could get printing straight away. And I just really want you to do that because it's so exciting and it's just a really great profession. I hope I've answered all of your questions today, and it's now time for this week's community poll.
Community poll.
This week's community poll is, the question is, how did you learn how to screen print? The options are school and college, YouTube, apprenticeship, something else in the comments. And a massive 70%, well, this question is asked on YouTube, but the results are 70% of people said they learned how to screen print off YouTube videos, which kind of tells me that they are teaching themselves or they're, asking questions on YouTube, getting the community to answer back. And I just really want to encourage you to, if you found out something new, then just make a short YouTube video about it and you'll never know where it takes you. You might have a big channel or you might even just have a few thousand subscribers like us. But it's a great way to learn and educate others and get more people in the industry. Don't forget to join in with the other community poll questions. We've got them all on the community tab on our YouTube site, which is Squeegee Ink. You can answer old ones, you can chat to people in the comments and just get involved that way. I hope you have a great week printing, and I'll catch you on the next episode.